There is a clock somewhere in London that counts kindness. It ticks every time someone performs an act of kindness. And it's all thanks to one man's obsession with the kindness of strangers. Anthony had always been interested in human behavior. He loved watching people and wondering what made them tick. When he was younger, he'd spent hours sitting on a park bench just observing the world around him. And as a student, he'd sit for hours in busy areas like train stations or shopping malls just watching people go by. And slowly but surely, he noticed something amazing happening. Most people responded to his kindness with more kindness. They paid it forward by helping someone else or by simply being nicer than they had to be. The machine would simply register any act of kindness that happened within a certain radius and then display the total number of kind acts performed in a specific area. Just when he was about to give up, he had a breakthrough. He realized that he didn't need a complicated machine. All he needed was a really good algorithm and some basic technology. He spent the next few years refining his algorithm and testing it out on unsuspecting victims. Of course, no such machine existed. So he spent months building one from scratch. It was like a ripple effect. One good deed led to another, which led to another. Some people were making up fake acts of kindness just to boost the numbers. This created a huge rift in the community, and Anthony was caught in the middle. He knew that he had to do something to fix it, but he wasn't sure what. People took pride in their work and the numbers started to come down. He had built a system that accurately counted the kindness of strangers, and it was all thanks to one man's obsession with human behavior. Others were vandalizing his clocks. Still, others were using his clocks for their own nefarious purposes. If he wanted them to work, he needed the community's help. So he launched a new initiative called Kindness Counts. It asked me, and this is the story of how one man built a life counting the kindness of strangers. It might be the best thing that happened to you all day. But when you see the clock, don't just look at the numbers. Take a moment to appreciate the person behind the machine. Or if you want to see a live demonstration of the kindness clock in action, all you have to do is visit London. He passed away in 2021. But his legacy lives on in his invention. So if you visit London, be sure to pay your respects to the man who counted kindness. And maybe that's all any of us can do in this crazy world. Look for the good, however small, and celebrate it whenever we can. Because in the end, that's what life is all about. Not counting the bad, but counting the good. He called it the kindness clock, and it worked like this. Whenever a user saw someone performing a random act of kindness, they could report it to the system. Over the course of a year, he recorded nearly 2 million. But as the numbers grew, so did the problems. The system would then verify the act of kindness and add one to the total count. Every year, millions of tourists visit the clock to see how many acts of kindness have been recorded. But he didn't stop there. He installed more kindness clocks all over the city. Some people say that it's a waste of time. Why bother counting acts of kindness? Others say that it's a distraction from real issues. The clock doesn't solve poverty, hunger, or war. Then there are those who say that it's just too depressing. When you see the low numbers, it makes you feel like humanity is doomed. Soon he had dozens of them and the numbers started to add up. As a psychology major, he learned about all the different theories of human behavior and motivation. At first, people were skeptical. They didn't understand why they should report acts of kindness to some random guy with a laptop. Slowly but surely, people started reporting acts of kindness. At first it was slow. He only registered a few acts of kindness per week. But then it started to pick up steam. People began to see the value in reporting acts of kindness, and soon he had hundreds of reports every day. But Anthony was persistent, and eventually he won them over. But none of it really made sense to him, so during his final year, he decided to conduct his own experiment. But everything changed when he went to university, so he started small. He let people in front of him in line at the coffee shop or grocery store. He paid for the coffee of the person behind him. All he could think about was his experiment and what would happen if he took it to the next level. So he quit his job and came up with a plan. He gave compliments to strangers. He sat with people who looked lonely. He helped people carry their groceries. At first, most people didn't even notice. They just went about their day without acknowledging his small gestures. But others did. Some people smiled and said thank you. Some people asked him to do it again. Some people even cried. He wanted to know what would happen if he simply did something nice for a stranger. As the weeks went on, he kept doing more and more random acts of kindness. He graduated from university and got a job as a psychologist, but he couldn't focus on his work. He was going to build a machine that would count the kindness of strangers. He tried all sorts of things, but nothing seemed to work. Finally, he felt ready to launch his project. His plan was to install several kindness clocks throughout the city and see what happened. He installed his first kindness clock in a busy shopping mall and then promoted it heavily on social media. Anthony was thrilled. He finally had proof that there were thousands of acts of kindness happening every day. In 1 week alone, he recorded nearly 10,000 acts of kindness. Anthony quickly realized that he had created a monster. His kindness clocks were being abused. One group of teenagers even created a fake account and reported a series of fake acts of kindness that all took place at a rival at school. Then he had an epiphany. He realized that his kindness clocks weren't just machines. They were a community project. He invited everyone in the community to help monitor the kindness clocks and make sure that the numbers were accurate. This initiative was a huge success. Of course, there were still some fake reports, but they were far and few between. Anthony was proud of what he had created. Today, Anthony's kindness clock is still running. It's now located in a permanent home in London and it's become a popular tourist attraction. And every day, hundreds of people perform random acts of kindness just so they can see the clock tick. But not everyone is happy with the clock. But Anthony doesn't care what they say. He's too busy counting the kindness of strangers. So the next time you see a stranger smiling at you, take a moment to appreciate it. It's not exactly a hidden secret. In fact, it's one of the city's most popular tourist attractions. The man who spent years developing the most advanced way to count kindness is no longer with us. Thank you for watching.